Okay, we're gonna try this again. Oh, there's Dave. Hi, Dave. I see you. Okay. Woohoo. Oh, I'm sorry. Hi, Trucker Beetle Bailey. I know I'm sorry with the last chat. I'm an incompetent fool when it comes to all of this type of technology. I have a really cool geeky brother that he helps me, and even though I had the settings right, for whatever reason, it didn't load up properly. So, and there's Pal Rider. Hi, Pal Rider. I hope you struggled with this technology as much as in the beginning as I do. Misery loves company. Ah, Dirty Broke. There's my man from Philly. If you guys want to go local, go check out his channel. He's got some good content. He also got a buddy that I met through, I don't know which of their channels I was on first, but RLC has some great food service delivery information. Okay, Helen, yes, good morning, take two. Thank you. Hmm. And Larry June. Now, Larry June is so sweet to me, and I really appreciate it. And some of you guys might see this back and forth fighting on different channels. Um, I can honestly say I haven't suffered anybody's wrath on his channel, so check him out too. Oh, see, there you go. You guys, and oh, yes. Check this out. Dirty Broke. That Dave Lamont, he lives in our area. He just happened to find my channel and he lives in our area. So, I'm sure he's going to be going and checking you out. And yes, poor Larry, he did have a death in his pet family recently too. And, he was really sweet with the death of Goofball. Hi, Tom. Yes, I'm back. I just found out that my load is got um it got shipped late. It was supposed to have been like done yesterday, and the driver that picked it up didn't leave till last night. So I thought I was going to be leaving out like this morning, but I'm going to wind up leaving out probably tonight. So I had some time to sit here and chat with you guys. um, Being in the terminal, it amazes me how many people are so nasty. Um, you know, if you're coming in to trucking and you want to find a job, why be nasty? And I'm seeing a lot of experienced drivers pop in, and you won't believe I went to Coca-Cola right before the holidays, and I'm pretty sure I was up in Michigan, and the guy loading me came out and had to change my air hoses, put the brake lock on the airlines. And when I smiled and said Merry Christmas, he said that I was the nicest driver he ever met, and I smiled. And when he came back out, he came back out with his friend to take a picture of us. And I was like, what the heck is this? And his name's Willie, and his partner's name was Richie. And I go inside to the clerk's office and I said, Merry Christmas. And the clerk says, Merry Christmas to you too, because you're just so sweet. And I was like, wow, you guys must get screamed at constantly. Right? And the clerk's name was Mitch. So I get out to the gate and I was smiling and telling Katie, the security guard at the gate, hey, make sure that you don't take any crap off of these guys, and it's Christmas, and we all got to have fun and be not be miserable. Hello, Carolina Hillbilly. Thanks for stopping in. And I see Tim is here too. I appreciate you guys stopping in. And so Katie says to me, I get yelled at all the time, and it is so nice to have somebody say Merry Christmas. So Merry Christmas and safe travels to you too and to your family. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Yeah, someone from New Jersey. It's nice. Well, I don't know. Well, I'm shocked that being from New Jersey, that's what makes me laugh. Or these people tell me that I'm the nice one. You got to be kidding me. Even on truckingtruth.com, I've been a moderator for a while. I've been there for like 4 years, and every once in a while, people will say to me, you're the compassionate one. You have so much compassion, and you. I'm like, wow, okay. There must be some miserable people in this world if the Jersey girl attitude's the nice one. Um, yes, I can see the chat now. And I see Tim, he's up near Groton, Connecticut. I'm not sure if you and I talked about this before, Tim, because there is somebody that's up there. I had a best friend that was stationed at the naval base there, and he lived in Ledyard, Connecticut. So it was right around the corner. I know that area pretty well. Um, there's also a casino up there, guys, if you're ever up there. And somebody says I am the nice one. Thanks, Tom. I appreciate that. Mm. Oh, Carolina Hillbilly was stationed in Groton in the submarine school. Yeah, they have the USS, not USS, it's the nuclear sub is up there. It escapes my mind right now, but they have a museum and you can go in and tour the sub, which is kind of cool. Yeah. Yes, Helen says it's so much easier to be nice. That goes for dealing with dispatch too, and the drivers. Like, it amazes me how people are often not thinking of other people. I sat with my dispatcher and his little neighbor partner for a couple hours yesterday because I just want to see what their job is like and how the different issues that drivers have. Because if I can see what the issues drivers are having, then maybe I could help, some of those drivers, and that would cause less problems for dispatch. And some people are just really rude, even to dispatch. And it's sort of like, why would you be mean and nasty to essentially your boss? Or they were saying that they have drivers that some of them they've never met. Go in and say hi. You know, um, I get everything I want from my dispatcher. Oh, look at that. Suspect sending me love from Toronto. Oh, mwah. Love back to you, sweetie. Never been to Toronto. I have been to Canada, British Columbia. I went on a Alaskan cruise one time, and we took like a train ride across Canada and then came back by bus. So that was really cool. Look at that, Victor. There's another one from Connecticut. We got a lot of Northeast people up here, but maybe that's because it's later on the East Coast. And I guess that a lot of drivers probably aren't they're on the road. They're not paying attention. Newbie truck. Okay. Good morning from California. That's crazy. All these different people. I love it. Hmm. So, yes, happiness is a choice. I do believe that. I was miserable at the post office. It was so wonderful for so many years, and eventually I became really miserable. And you know, I didn't realize that I was miserable because of the job. I really thought that maybe there was something wrong with me. And, I did have a sister who became uh, mentally ill. And that was a really tough thing when she died. I took it very badly. And I sort of went through a midlife crisis. I went and bought a $50,000 Mustang GT, a 5.0. It was beautiful. It's my dream car, and I thought for sure I was going to have it till the day I died. And you know, one day I just walked out of the post office and I wound up at Prime, and I intended to just do my year and go local, but there's no point for it. I hate change to begin with, which is something that's hard to deal with when you're in trucking because there's changes constantly. Randy Hill, good morning from Phoenix. Guess what? I'm going to Phoenix. That's where my next load is. I'm pretty sure I'm delivering in Tolleson. So, stick around or email me or Instagram me, and, maybe we could hook up at the Flying J if you're able to. I love being able to, drive around the country and meet people. Um, it's something people ask me all the time as a woman, are you scared? No, I'm not scared, but think you're going to do something to me, guess what? You're going to get hit in the head with a claw hammer. And I'll do it with a smile too. One time I was in dispatch and they were giving out loads, and this one guy's really nasty all the time, and they were like, "Oh, he's a jerk." And and I said, "Well, what do you say about me?" And they said, "Oh, we typed right into your truck file, combative with a smile." So I almost use that as my slogan instead of positive voice in trucking. But then I thought, oh, well, that's not too positive if I'm combative, right? Ah. Hey, Claudia, mental illness. For any of you that might be suffering from depression or maybe even just a little bit of social awkwardness, because as truckers, we don't interact with people the way we used to. And sometimes the longer you're on the truck, the more depressed you can be from that lack of social interaction. So check out Claudia Mental Illness's channel, because she's been doing a lot of videos about like self-esteem. And honestly, that might not be a bad thing for a lot of you students, that when you're new, you really lose your confidence because you're frustrated that you can't do this. You know, and Dave Lamont goes back and says, yeah, it doesn't cost anything to be nice, but nasty can cost you a lot of things, including your job. Yes, that's true. Being nasty is going to cost you friends and your family and everything. So, uh, you know, thanks. And so Tim was in the Navy. Um, oh, Victor says don't forget to hit the like buttons. I appreciate that. Mwah. Uh, it's really funny. My boyfriend, we've been together since like I think it was May, and he's never seen me with the glasses. He saw me for the first time with the glasses in the live feed the other day. He was like, "Oh my God, you look like a librarian." I was like, "Well, as long as it's a cute librarian or a sweet librarian, then I'm fine with that." Uh, so yeah, dirty broke. Yeah, Philly women don't get scared. That's right. That's right. I'm actually the first one from my family that was born in Jersey, but we still got that tough Philly attitude. And, it's scary though, because I got my mother's Italian temper and my father's like muscular, like brawn, German brawn. I'm like, so if you tick me off, you better run away because I could do some damage. Dave says I make him laugh all the time. I appreciate that. I'm glad that I entertain. A lot of times when I say the things that I say, I don't even mean for them to be funny. It just comes out. And then people will be like, "Do you know what you said?" Well, yeah, I said there's a big, like, I found out later it was a bison or a buffalo or something, but to me it looked like a woolly mammoth. I'm a history buff. I don't know about bison and stuff. And Randy says his wife uses the hammer. Well, yeah, absolutely. You know, there's a TA in Ontario, California. Nobody in there was conversing. They were all loners. Well, that's it's not so much that they're loners, it's that you just lose your social skills. And, as a woman, I can say that men flirt all the time. And it doesn't even have to be because they're attracted to me, because it's not like I'm some supermodel or anything. But um, sometimes I think that they find it's easier to talk to a woman than to a man. I mean, let's face it, you know, women talk. A lot of men are already silent to begin with. They're already introverts. And it's Dave says it's great that I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not. But, you know, people are introverts and then it's even worse for them. And that's why sometimes I think it's really good for somebody to have a pet on the truck. There was one guy, I was at a Blue Beacon truck wash, and for those of you who don't know, we actually drive our trucks into a place that's sort of like a huge car wash, and they wash out the inside of our trailers, whether it's like tanker trailer or reefer. And this guy came out of his truck and up to the side of mine and then climbed up onto my steps and just start talking to me about how he's planning on going to Aruba. And I was like, got my hammer right here, and I'm like, yeah, okay. You know what? You better take 2 steps back from my truck, get off my steps, or you ain't gonna see Aruba. Okay? You'll be seeing Aruba, from the ground, or somebody's gonna be cremating you and sprinkling your ashes over that. You gotta back up. And of course, I've been to Aruba and it's beautiful. And I want my boat. One of these days, I'm going to get a boat and move to Aruba. It would be great. Um, Ever think that you are a paid tourist? You know, that's a misconception that people think about trucking. They think they're going to come in over the road and they're going to go all over the country and see all these great places. And I had a student that was like that. And all through training, all he wanted to do was go to Disney World and leave the load and go to the beach. And we were in Ontario, Canada, at the California Petro. And he wanted to leave our load there and drive to Vegas, rent a car and drive to Vegas. And I'm like, it doesn't happen that way. You know, can I get away with taking a break in different places? Yes, but you get a 10-hour break. If you have a load that has a lot more time on it, can you extend that time out? Yeah, you can, but you also have to realize you're going to be driving 550 miles, and then you're going to need to sleep. And then you're going to, you go out and you go into your adventure sightings or whatever, and then you're still going to have to sleep again to drive out and drive that next 500 miles. Now, can you take home time all over the country? Absolutely. I can take home time wherever I want that Prime has freight, which is all over the country. So I have like taken time off in Vegas, and I went to Phoenix, and you know I took a weekend down in Fort Lauderdale. So, sure, you can do that, but you have to realize this is a job first. Most of the time, we're driving through those places. We're not stopping there for an extended amount of time to do sightseeing. And as a single person, it's much easier for me to take home time all over the country. I don't have kids. Now, if you're married and you have kids back home and you think you're going to come out here and you're going to enjoy the country and be able to stop and do job and go back home, it's not going to work the way you think it is. Sorry. You know, do I think it's awesome that I get paid to travel the country? Absolutely. And like I said, I do stop off. I get a lot of hotel rooms. I enjoy my life. People think because you're a company driver, you can't take an extra day or two here or there or whatever. You just have to learn how to play the game. Um, like, here's an example. Yes, I came off of home time after, before New Year's, right before New Year's, and then Goofball died. Well, I needed stuff worked on the truck. My bunk heater had stopped working before I even went home, and my CPAP died, and so I needed to come into the terminal to get work done anyway. And I just happened to get here Saturday. The CPAP people weren't going to be open till Monday. So I got here Saturday afternoon, got the hotel room, and then yesterday when I got my CPAP fixed, I could have gotten a load out right away, but I asked my fleet manager for a load that left today. So I had this hotel room for 3 nights. This goes back to the traveling thing. Um, I have a friend that lives here in Springfield, and so she and I went out. We had a good time on Sunday night. I have a friend who is she quit Prime. She's from truckingtruth.com, as a matter of fact. She quit Prime and she just came back. So she was here and we went out to dinner last night. And so that's basically 3 days I've been sitting here, and now my load's not coming in until later tonight. So I do have time to do things, but you have to do it within certain parameters and you have to be able to know how to play the game. Nobody is going to be sitting there. My fleet manager's boss is not going to be sitting there yelling at him for me not leaving when I actually am assigned a load. They need that load delivered. It's on me. It's my responsibility. So when I get out, I'll run it hard and get it to where it's got to go. So I'm funny and people are attracted to that because nobody likes being miserable. Well, yeah, it's easier to talk to a smiling person. That's probably true. Um, you know, and that goes back to, in one of my videos I was talking about how some women are afraid that men are going to treat them disrespectfully out here or be nasty. As a woman, if you're backing up, guys jump out. They jump out of the truck and it doesn't matter what you look like. And if you sit there and go, I'm sorry, please help me. And right now, there's a woman on truckingtruth.com that says that she really hates over the road and that she feels like crying every day. And the truth is, I totally understand that. I did cry every day, um, in training. I did. I cried out on the road once I was solo. And it's just frustrating, and you feel like giving up and you feel like you can't do this. But after you realize you can do it, you just have to have the confidence. And that goes back to good old Claudia Mental Illness channel. You have to have the confidence that you can do this and that you can learn. I mean, look at all the people, even the nasty people and the miserable people that are out here that are doing this. If they can do it, you can too. And, you know, when I first came to Missouri, I thought everybody was so nice. And I was like, these are the type of people that you can run them over, like in the pedestrian walkway, and they'll get up and apologize to you. I'm like, wow, like, if you're going to make mistakes, don't scream and yell about them. Just admit them. And, there was one time I was trying to do a 90-degree alley zoc, a blind side one time, and it was just such a hard place. And I start crying. And this guy comes up and he's screaming and yelling, but he was helping guiding me back. And he's like, "What are you doing? There's no crying in trucking. Look at all them letting these women in here. What the hell's the matter with trucking today?" And I went up, and after I got into the door, and I did, he helped me, but I got in that to the door. I went up and I wrapped my arms around him and I kissed him on the cheek and I said, "You just want everybody to think you're miserable. You're not really that miserable." And he's like, "Ah, don't do that. Don't do that." Yeah, okay. Well, you didn't scare me, dude. I was more afraid of hitting something than, and that I think in the beginning, yeah, I was more afraid of hitting something than any of these people out here. Um, you know, I'm not looking for big things, more the small stuff. I spent 10-hour breaks in Amish country. Oh, okay. Great meals and crafts. Well, that's cool. Erie Canal for an hour. That was something that I wanted to do. And I didn't have time the last time I was up there. And, you don't want to do it in the winter time too. I would want to do something like that in a better weather time. I don't always get to pick and choose where I go at what time of the year. I do sometimes, like yesterday, get to pick and choose my loads. When I come into the terminal, I go to my fleet manager and he gives me better loads. Like yesterday, he's like, "Where do you want to go?" I was like, "I don't know. Phoenix sounds good because Wyoming is under snow and heavy winds, and I don't want that." Mm. And see the world become a trucker. Yeah. Yeah, from the outside looking in, it's a job. Well, you know, sometimes it is what you make of it. Something I've learned is that, and I talked about this in the other video, the other live feed, is that you have to have a certain personality type for this. I know some people that they can't make a decision at all, so they're really good at B seats. You know, they're safe drivers, but they can't make decisions and they can't handle this. So I think that some people forget this is a job. Um, they also forget that they are coming into a company and they think that a company has to take them. Like, oh, there's a trucker shortage, so this is the company I'm going to go to. Wake up call. That company that you want to go to may not want you. You know, it's just like any other job. You don't know if you're going to get it. There's a higher probability that if you're qualified, you will get the job at, a particular trucking company. But most people can't even deal with the lifestyle in order to stay through training. Seriously. And it's kind of sad. Like, there's somebody that, I chat with all the time who he's very eager and he wants to learn as much as possible. And then you could get a student who doesn't just like coast through and they have so much confidence in themselves and overconfidence that they can do it. And confidence is great, but if you go overconfident, then that's a serious problem because that means you're not going to be as vigilant with the truck handling as you should be. If when you become lackadaisical, even if you're just holding the steering wheel with one hand and you're drinking and you're talking on the phone and all that, you know, you're too relaxed and you're going to have a problem. And that applies whether you've been driving for years, or if you're brand new. When you're brand new and you're in school, you need to learn that pre-trip. And there was another channel was talking about how they had a student that absolutely was not going to was having problems trying to learn the pre-trip. And you know, we can't drill it into your head. When it comes to the team training section, I can sit there and have you spend hours and hours backing up. I could repeatedly have you do all of the paperwork and the macros on the Qualcomm system. And like, if any of my students pop in here, they'll tell you we'd be driving down the road and I'd be like, oh, what was that clearance sign? How many hours you got left on your clock? After your break, how many hours you getting back? I would ask questions constantly because I wanted them to be able to think and just know things. And in the beginning, of course, they're going to have to think a lot harder. But as time goes on, by the end of the training, they just boom, 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 you know. But that's something that I can reinforce. I can't reinforce you memorizing your pre-trip. I can test you on it 3 times a day, but if you don't take the time to actually learn the wording, there's nothing that I can really say or do. Yeah, a lot of people say that they hate trucking, and Larry June over there says trucking is a tough gig. It can be, but I think that also goes back to your outlook. You know, what do you personally find stressful? I find more stressful somebody standing over top of me all the time watching everything I do. Now I have a job that I cannot talk to my dispatcher for like 2 whole months. I mean, does he send me messages back and forth on the Qualcomm? Sure. But I went 2 months without talking to him. And then I missed him and called him up and asked him, "Hey, how you doing?" So, um, it depends on what people's perspective of stressful is. Uh, I worked in a place where we had anthrax and they closed down the building. And then 2 weeks later, they brought us back in and then told us the FBI cleaned the wrong machine. So the anthrax was still there. And then we had to leave. In that same place, there were bombs. I mean, I had a bomb come from Egypt that was shipped through Tel Aviv that then came to New Jersey. And I'm like picking this thing up and I see it. We even had Ebola come through the mail. So, you know, and get this, at the post office, they gave us classes on how to deal with shooters in the building. I mean, that's stressful. So you have to realize your perspective is going to make a difference. If you came from an office job, um, where you had a bathroom right there, you might find it stressful that you might be 2 hours without a bathroom because there's no place for you to pull over. That could be stressful for some people. I think it gets a lot easier the more it goes on. Like I have a friend who is a hairdresser, and when you're dealing with people constantly, 30 people a day and cutting their hair, and they're screaming and yelling at you because they don't like the way it turned out, yeah, that's stressful too. But with me, I just look at it and say, well, if I don't feel like being bothered by anybody, I turn off my phone, I turn off my Qualcomm, and I go to bed. You know, people outside, I've said in my videos, people that are mad that I'm taking too long to back up, I'd pull the brakes on my truck and jump in bed, close my curtains right in the middle of the aisle. And they'd say, well, what are you doing? Well, you were being mean and screaming and yelling and blowing your horn. And that's going to make me hit something. And you're not helping me. So now I'm going to bed. I'll go to bed right here in the middle of the aisle. Well, you can't do that. Well, what are you going to do? Oh, well, I'm going to have you towed. Okay, well, it's still going to take an hour. In that hour, you're going to be sitting here not in your bed. So I'll be taking a good nap. Hmm. But traffic in Philly is stressful. It can be. Atlanta traffic. Yeah. Um, yes, I'm in the hotel. Billy Rains. Hi, Billy. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. I have a lot of newbies in here, and Billy Rains is somebody here that you guys want to go check out if you're running dry van. He's at CFI. Are you training yet, Billy? I'm kind of behind on some of my videos and catching up on some of the other channels. I admit it. The holidays have me all messed up. And Ray Del Sol, how you doing? I appreciate you stopping by too. Ray Del Sol is somebody that's been following me in comments all the time, and I think it's great. Um, you know, Growing up in the Northeast and being in Philly, I used to drive from Jersey into Philly every day, South Philly for my job. Um, my sister's husband is practically my dad. I actually call him dad. I sort of adopted him because my father died when I was really young. But he owned an auto body shop there, so for a while I worked at it and I would drive back and forth. And so when I go through places that people say are stressful and full of traffic, I'm like, what are you talking about? And people are like, oh yeah, like my trainer when I was in PSD at Prime, we take PSD with our permit. So my trainer said to me, "Oh, you drove through St. Louis with no problem. All that traffic." I was like, "What traffic? What are you talking about?" So that might give all of you Northeast people a little bit of an advantage in trucking, is that it's not so bad. Um, Yeah, I work in healthcare. Healthcare is a crazy place to work. That's a stressful job. I know a lot of people um, who, went from nursing into trucking. And they say the same thing, military guys. I love military people. I totally respect military people. I would donate some of my proceeds from my novels that are on Amazon. I donate some of those to military organizations. I think we need to respect them. I think we need to. I think we need to. You know, take care of those type of people. But I think that it's interesting that people in healthcare, people in law enforcement, people that worked for the federal government, uh, people in the military, they can adjust to the trucking life a lot easier than maybe somebody who's been working in an office job their whole life and never saw anything differently. Um, am I leaving Prime? Billy, come on. Thought you knew me better than that. I'm not leaving Prime. No, my boyfriend's coming the next month. We're going to be teaming together. At this point, I'm going to be honest with you. I probably will never leave Prime. I'll be here for years and years. You know, at worst case scenario, when I decide to come on the off the road, which I'm sure I will, I'd probably just get an in-house job, which they make available to drivers. I could be a CDL instructor. The training that I did was not the PSD CDL with the permit instruction. So I could probably do that. Now I don't have my CAT anymore. So Drive Roosevelt Boulevard is not fun. Yeah, when it's raining. Yeah, well, you know what? Try backing a trailer down Janney Street off of Tioga and Aramingo. That's not fun either, but those are the kinds of things that we have to do. Um, for those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, you can go and look at my rookie local driving video, and I have pictures of some of the really, really tight places that I've backed down tiny little streets and load it right off the street, how to jump the curb to get the trailer up into their little platform. There's a couple places that are so tight that you can't even open my doors. I had to shove bills out the window or get out the passenger side to go check in, that sort of thing. People that think they're going to just go local right off the bat. I don't know if Dirty Broke is still in here. You go and tell them, do you think that you should go local right off the bat? Uh, can it be done? Sure. Are you going to have a lot more challenges? Absolutely. It's going to be difficult, and a lot of local jobs seem to also be closer and closer to cities. So you're talking city driving, and how we're talking about Atlanta and different places that have bad traffic. Not only are you going to be stuck in that traffic, but you're going to be stuck in alleyways and tiny streets, and that is very stressful. Absolutely. Billy is on his second student. Yeah, you know what, guys? And Billy's at CFI, but he was also at CR England, and he has videos on his channel about both of those companies. Um, CR England, I've said it before, people bash a lot of these different companies, whether it's Prime or Swift or, CR England sometimes. It might not be, uh, and people may prefer Prime over CR England, but there may be people that have to start at CR England as a stepping stone. If that's the way that you have to come into the country because maybe they're a little bit more lenient with their hiring process, then do that and move on. Um, but don't put people down for the company that they wind up at. Everybody's circumstances are different. Now that I don't have any bills, maybe if there was CR England, there was a reason that I wanted that, like a dedicated route or something. I could absolutely go there and I could live off the money because they do make less money. But everybody's situation is different. So don't put people down for the choices they make if they're the right choices for them. And that goes back to my whole attitude issue that we were talking about earlier. Oh, I'm in a hotel. That usually means new company. Oh no, sweetie, not for me. Not for me. I make it a point to enjoy myself out here on the road. So I usually get a hotel like once a month, and um, I get a jacuzzi suite, and you know, I didn't bring my camera with me. I should have brought my camera here, but you know, the one suite here in the Prime owned hotel. It's not the one they put the students in. They put the students in the lower hotel, but the one room here has a spiral staircase to a second floor and a huge jacuzzi tub and a bidet and a kitchen and a huge fireplace on the wall and everything. So I pamper myself. I'm sorry. Life is too short. So life's too short to be miserable. It's too short to feel like this is a horrible place to be. It breaks my heart when I see people, especially on YouTube or truckingtruth.com, when they talk about how trucking's ruined their life or they're miserable. You know, you have to find the good things in life to enjoy. And Billy didn't see earlier, but I've been here for a couple days. I needed to put my truck in the shop, and my CPAP needed to be replaced, and so I was hanging out with some friends, and we have a salon and a spa here, so I go get massages, and I enjoy my life. You have to really um, make it a point. Make goals. Like everybody's talking about goals for January because it's New Year's, and I'm like, I don't do New Year's resolutions because when I set goals for myself, I achieve them. So it's not something that I have to promise myself this is what I'm going to do. Um, and sometimes I lose patience with people that I think are indecisive. It's one thing to sit there and try to decide, well, is this what I want or not, and to research it and figure out how you're going to go about something. But in my head, if there's something I really want, I'm going to figure out how to do it. When I decided that I was going to come into trucking, I applied to Prime on Saturday, and by next Saturday, I was on that bus coming here. So I don't always understand people who say, take a year to decide or 3 years to decide. I had a boyfriend that took him 3 years to decide to buy a new car. Like, no. Okay, no. And when I bought my Mustang, I printed it off the internet, I built it on the website, and walked into the dealer and said, here, this is what I want. Don't try adding things or subtract, to boost your commission up. Because if you don't want to sell it to me the way I want it, I'll go to that guy over there and he'll get my commission. And if he wants to try to upsell me, well, guess what? Then I'll go to another dealership. I don't I don't let people influence me too much, but I also don't let those toxic people influence me either. You know, and toxic people are really, we don't need them people in our lives. We really don't. Sometimes you have to deal with them. If you have coworkers you can't get away from, that is another plus in trucking. You know, because you're alone, and some people do get depressed about that, but if you're alone, you don't have to deal with nasty, nasty coworkers. If you don't want to deal with somebody, you just block them on your phone. You just, even dispatch. I only talk to my own dispatcher on the phone, or maybe some people that, here and there that I really trust. Otherwise, oh, sorry, hung up on them. And they'll message me and say, lost your connection. Oh, well, say it in the Qualcomm in writing. Tell me what you want because you're calling me because you don't want it recorded. That's basically what it comes out to. Yes, Tom says 3 people in a truck. Yeah, I would think that was really tough too. I haven't done that. I think 2 people in a truck is hard, but sometimes you have to do what you have to do to get through things. Yeah, okay, Dirty Broke's been local his whole career. Well, there you go, guys that want to go local. I'm telling you, you got to go check out his channel and RLC TV because the two of them are awesome. Billy Rains was also at Melton. You little job hopper. Uh, but that's good if anybody's interested. That way he can give you some, because Billy will be honest with you and up front and say, this is what I liked about this company and this is what I liked about that company. When people go from company to companies, maybe Billy, can you confirm this? I would imagine that then you're like, well, I really like the way CFI did this, and I really like the way that Milton did this, and Sarah England might have did this portion better. So then maybe you're not even completely satisfied where you wind up, because you're always longing for that one thing that the other company did. I don't know, Billy, you tell me. Diabetic truckers, is it doable? Just curious. Well, Randy, I really don't know much about the diabetic thing. I do know that they used to require waivers, and they don't require those anymore. I do know a couple truckers that told me that they have a monitor. It's not your regular fingerprint prick. It's a special kind of monitor, and I think it actually goes back and records to your doctors. So there is a guy on truckingtruth.com. If you go on there and look for Mark Lee, it's Marclee, and do a search for him. He is a diabetic that's been trying to get into trucking. He went to a local school. He wanted to go to JB Hunt. He got hired at JB Hunt, and after 2 weeks, he got hurt. And then he wound up going on workman's comp. And when he went to go back for the DOT physical and go back to work, he didn't have his diabetes stuff in order, the paperwork. And because of that, he was fired. And he's kind of bounced around recently from job to job, because then it turned out that his CDL was stale. Once you go through schooling and you don't actually get your training right away, um, companies can turn around and say, well, your CDL is basically useless now, and we want you to go back through retraining. Um, let's see. 3 people in a truck with 3 months experience between them. Is that how it works? No, I think one of them is a trainer. Larry June says I'm a sweetheart and my boyfriend's a lucky man. Well, Larry's been married for, what was it, 26 years or something, just the other day. So happy anniversary to him and Deborah. Deborah June is his wife, and she goes on his channel on his live feeds too, and she's very sweet. Um, I don't know if my boyfriend thinks he's lucky yet. I think he's nervous to actually live with me on the truck. He keeps telling me, he said to me recently, he's like, you're not allowed to go through the change. And I was like, what? How you gonna stop menopause? Not, I mean, like, okay, I'm 45, so it shouldn't be coming anytime soon, I hope, but how are you gonna stop menopause? And he's like, no, the women's change. Like, women change after a while. And once they think they got their hooks on you, they turn into a completely different person. My ex-wife was like that. And I was like, oh, okay, sorry. I don't think I'll change. As far as I know, I've been like this since I was like in second grade. I used to tell off the nuns in Catholic school. By the time I was in sixth grade, I I was on the phone trying to call my mom from a payphone, and Attila the nun, that's what I used to call her, Attila the nun. She came and started yelling at me while I was on the payphone, and she says to me, "That phone is for teachers' use only. It's not for students." And I was like, well, New Jersey Bell doesn't care whose quarter they get. And she's like, that's it. You get in the office. I'm calling your mother. I'm like, who do you think I'm calling? All my friends are here in school. Hello. Well, she didn't know if I was telling the truth or not. So she started trying to grab the phone out of my hand and hang it up. And I was screaming, Mom, she's beating me. Mom, you got to get up here. Of course, my mom brought me. She did. She came up right away, and we were in public school the next day. So that's sort of how I got, taken out of Catholic school. But I used to ask them all kinds of crazy questions. Uh, Who am I talking smack about today? I don't talk smack. What are you talking about? You must be talking to somebody else because you're not talking to me. Life's short unless you're miserable, then life is long and beautiful. Um, I don't know about that. I mean, I've done a lot of things in my life and I've tried to have a positive attitude, but sometimes I sit here and say, "Wow, like it is going so fast. I can't believe I've been here for over 4 years. It's kind of crazy." No, there's this dysfunctional life. Everybody go check on them too. That's a great channel. Another positive one, and you know, uh, it's good to see a husband and wife out here that get along. Um, I've seen a couple that I thought that they were kind of grumpy together and barking orders at each other all the time. Maybe that's what my boyfriend's afraid of is going to happen. But Gary, that's not going to happen. uh, if you need insulin, I don't think you can go out over the road, but you can go local. Okay, I didn't even think of that. So, diabetics, make sure you go. I'm not sure. Mark Lee is somebody that is probably the diabetic on truckingtruth.com. He's um, the only person I really knew that struggled with that issue. So that's something they're probably going to make you be required to be stable or something first before you come out. I would imagine they're going to have a time length. You know, diabetes, I don't really know much about it. People in my family don't have kind of illnesses and conditions like diabetes and cancer and things like that. But diabetics get foot problems and circulatory problems, and with us sitting all the time, I would imagine you would have to make it a point to get up and walk around and exercise and make sure that you're really taking care of yourself even more because that is something about this lifestyle that's really hard. It's really easy to come out here and get complacent with your health because it's just junk food everywhere and you really don't get to exercise. I came out here and I've always had two weights in my life and either really big or kind of tiny and well, tiny for me. But when I wound up coming out here, I wound up gaining like 30 pounds over the maximum weight that I ever was. And, I've been losing a lot of weight since August. I'm still nowhere near where I was years ago at my lowest point, but I feel so much better. So I don't feel like I'm going to deprive myself if I really want to eat something. But if you watch Dirty Broke, he's exercising, he's working out every day, and he's still working 10 and 12-hour days as a local driver. So, like I said, check him out. Um, Tom Bell, I got spoiled by going to Millis Transfer first. The best equipped trucks that I've seen. Okay. Well, that's cool. Millis was bought out, though. Millis was bought out by Heartland Express. I don't know how that would affect anything. I don't know much about Heartland. I don't think I've ever met a driver that was a friend of mine that, worked there. I did hear good things about Millis. Um, that's something that I absolutely love about Prime. Our equipment is like top notch, and I'm never denied any kind of repairs or service. And we have enough terminals around the country, and even if I say, hey, I'm taking this to the international dealer up the street or the Freightliner dealer up the street, I just get 10-4, thanks for letting me know. It's not some big hassle of I have to schedule this or I have to schedule that. Um, that's something though I kind of learned over the years. I think as a rookie driver, I would message my dispatcher and say I have a problem, and then he'd say, well, go message road assist, and I'd message road assist, and they'd be like, well, can dispatch get you in at blah blah blah, and I'll make the calls or whatever. And I just got to the point that I'm like, guess what? I'm calling up the dealership myself. And then I message road assist and say, this is what I got, where I'm going to go, and this is the date. And then I message dispatch and say, get me into this location on this date. And it just all works out. Because otherwise, it's like a little kid that goes to mom and says, well, can I do this? And they say, go call your father. And you ask the father, well, can I do this? Well, what did your mother say? Just, I'm not dealing with that crap. So now I learned real fast. Ask for, beg for forgiveness instead of ask permission. So, um, oh, poor Ralph is having health problems. I'm sorry. Well, Ralph, we're all sending you out our love and support. And, in today's society, I'm not sure if we're allowed to say prayers, but, I'm sure some of us are going to be praying for you, and others are sending good vibes or whatever is politically appropriate for them. So, you know, yeah, Dirty Broke, like I said, he's really good at scheduling his exercise, and he says you really do have to try to get some sort of exercise. Uh, you know, I think with women will walk, and that might, I think guys, sorry, your ego's getting in the way sometimes. I think sometimes guys think that walking is a woman's thing. You'll see a lot more women out here walking around the truck stops in big circles or the rest areas than you will see men. Um, but I've seen men basically leaning up against their deer guards doing push-ups from the deer guards. Or even if you have water bottles or hand weights and you're just walking around and lifting them up and down, going, walking up to the truck stops. Or I think I counted and somebody else told me it was true. It's like 32 laps around the entire truck is like 1 mile, I think. So if you wind up trying to do that, uh, it there. If you go to Prime, if there are any Prime drivers in here that are interested, Prime does have a list of like 300 or 400 gyms across the country that are big enough for truck parking. And the cool thing about that is you go and work out, and then you can go use the shower, and then you go to sleep in the parking lot. Um, Admittedly, I need to get to the gym, I admit it. So that was one of the things I was hoping next month when Gary comes on the truck that we'd be able to work on together. When you're teaming, it's a lot easier with your hours of service to be able to do things like that than if you're solo. So everything about trucking is about trying to schedule things, and you have to schedule stuff into your life. You have to schedule showers and eating and laundry. So trying to schedule and food shopping, like you have to, if you want to go to Walmart, you have to trip plan and say, okay, what Walmarts can I bring this rig into along my route? Um, and when you're new, that's sometimes really hard. And some of the Walmarts have like the little cutouts with the mulch and stuff. Um, so, uh, hi, Randy. Okay, I guess you're gonna go. So you enjoy your day too. I appreciate you stopping by. Um, something that was really hard when I first got into trucking too was that everything is so different. Dirty, broken, and a couple of the others that are in here up in the Northeast, they can tell you and confirm we don't have service roads. We don't have frontage roads. So the first time I went down south and I saw like frontage road, I was like, what the heck is this? We have front street, but it's not exactly the same. And, you know, so you have to learn. Some of them are one way and some of them are two-way. And if any of you are familiar with Dallas, and there's a Flying J and a TA in Dallas, there are two different blue beacons there. The one is on a one-way service road, but I didn't know that, and it was 2 lanes. And I went to pull out of the blue beacon, and I wanted to make a left to go back towards the truck stops. I was going to go park for the night. And lo and behold, it was 2 lanes going the same direction. And there's a rig in the left lane and a car in the right lane, and I'm like, oh crap. So I turned real fast into a parking lot, and then I was too big for the parking lot. It was a car parking lot, not a truck parking lot. And it took me God knows how long to try to get out of that situation. I know I was there for well over an hour. And after that point, I start learning that I needed to add an hour to 2 hours extra to my trip planning just for getting lost and for doing stupid mistakes. And I also start paying more attention to, are those service roads one way or two ways? And you know what too? Like up in Jersey, we don't really do U-turns like the rest of the country does. The rest of the country goes up in the left lane and makes a U-turn and comes right back around into this left lane in the opposite direction. We don't do that. We want to make a U-turn, we go into the right lane and go around this little curve thing and cross over the street at a light to make a left-hand turn. So a lot of people that may be from the rest of the country are not used to that. Even just culture differences throughout the country. I was shocked to see like a 50-foot cross in the middle of the highway. We don't really have that in the Northeast. Tom says yes, Millis was bought out, but they really didn't change things. Oh, well, that's good to know, because that's something that can be scary when you're at one company and they get bought out, and then you're terrified how much is going to change, especially when you're comfortable with the way things work. And a lot of us can put up with change if it means that we're still going to be making the same amount of money or more. But if you're going to be, like, say, making less, do you want to put up with those changes? So. The F with PC, we should all pray. Okay, yeah, well, uh, I'm not exactly one of those PC people. If you've been watching, then you know that. It's just that, and then they get attacked or whatever, And Ralph says, I drove 15 years in the entertainment side of truck driving. I didn't take care of my health, and now I'm paying for it. That's something that we all have to do. And at my first 6 months, I was so exhausted. I don't even remember eating. I think that not eating made me gain weight, but it just seems like I remember, like, I would get into a rest area and I'd be so exhausted. One time I just fell asleep right on top of my steering wheel. And when I woke up, the guy next to me was pulling forward, and I thought I was rolling back, and I was like holding onto the steering wheel and pushing my brakes, and I was screaming and everything. And, there was another time that I was headed into the terminal to get my APU fixed, and I was exhausted. I went into such a deep sleep, and my dispatcher called up, and he was like, are you what's wrong with your truck? That's what he said. I don't even remember him saying hello. It was a nighttime guy. And he's like, what's wrong with your truck? Well, he just woke me up. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm on fire. And I jumped up and I grabbed the cat, and I was ready to jump out of the truck. And I'm like, I don't smell anything burning. And of course, I wasn't dressed to go jumping out of a truck. So I'm like trying to put clothes on and everything. And then I look outside, I'm like, if I'm not on fire, I must have rolled backwards, right? So then I look outside, I'm like, I'm in the same spot. And I just went back to sleep. I forgot he was on the phone. The next night, I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I forgot you. And he's like, I tried calling you to see what happened. You didn't answer again. Well, no, you scared me the first time. Why would I answer you the second time? Hmm. And yeah, I'm I don't know any of you if whether or not any of you saw my best truck stops and the best places to stop, but there is a video on that. I am going to try to film a couple of those places because they're going to be on my route headed to Phoenix this week. So, yes, Victor says trucking is a lifestyle change. Yep, and you need to adapt. Yes, you do. Uh, But unfortunately, you can't possibly know what that means until you get out here, and every single one of my students have said the same thing. This is so much harder than I thought. And then amazingly enough, after they go through training and they go solo for a couple months and they feel comfortable and they know what they're doing, they say, I'm so glad I did this. But a lot of people give up before they get that far. And they never actually see the rewards. And then they wind up bashing the company or bashing trucking, or they swap from company to company thinking it's going to get better. And really, it's actually they're suffering from the rookie stuff. Those are just part of growing pains and almost a rite of passage that certain people, we all go through. Michael, typical Jersey driver. Hey, what's that mean? Explain that. Uh, Yeah, we don't turn left in New Jersey. Yeah, we have to yeah, we have to do the jug handles. We call them jug handles for those of you who don't know what the left-hand turn from the right lane is. Uh, there you go. Dirty Broke says jug handles. Hi, fishing trucker. He's a sweetheart. He pops into all the chats. Yes, I figured out how to get the streaming, and I'm assuming that the echo is gone. Um, I did a test with my brother and figured out that this computer has like 3 or 4 different microphones and somehow and speakers, and they were all on, or one of them was on and the rest whatever. But I had to get rid of them, so I'm hoping you guys don't hear the echo really bad like last time. Um, 50-foot cross in the middle of the highway. No, I meant next to the highway. But, it's something that we don't have back home. And you'll start to see a lot of billboards that are religious billboards that we don't have. Like, are you going to heaven and hell? Dial 1-800 True Life. And a lot of, pro life billboards, a lot of pro-gun billboards. Don't have them in Jersey. Only criminals have guns in Jersey. So, it's a little bit of a lifestyle change. Just seeing things like you walk around out in truck stops, and the guys all have T-shirts on that say, you're not taking my firearms. Don't mess with my faith, my family, my firearms, or my freedom. Those are not topics that you see on T-shirts back home. Um, it's really kind of interesting to see the difference between more conservative areas and more conservative states and then the more liberal areas. It's really, really obvious when you drive around the country. And, I was in Indiana and even Missouri restaurants still have a smoking section. I was in Indiana and they were smoking inside the building and I couldn't believe it. I haven't seen a building you could smoke in and since I was in high school, and that was a long, long time ago. Oh, okay, no echo at all. Woohoo! I finally got this live thing down then. Mm. New Jersey does not believe in God. Okay. At least the governor here. Um, you know, I, I didn't want to go into politics on this channel because I really believe that that's part of this country is everybody gets to believe or not believe whatever they want when it comes to religion, God, or spirituality, or however you call it, your higher power. Um, that I think is the greatness of this country. Uh, I do think that it's wrong to try to impede on somebody's beliefs. And, the same thing goes for political views. There are so many people out here that want to shove their views down your throat that I just think that's wrong. I think that, you could be extremely liberal and have a friend that's extremely conservative. And if you treat each other with respect and kindness and, all the positive attitudes that we were talking about earlier, then guess what? You're going to get along and you might even get to understand each other a little bit better. But when people just want to pull that hard nose, don't communicate, don't cooperate, don't compromise kind of attitude, then you know what's left? Just hate, discontent, and discord, and not agreement. Not having any kind of agreement. Jonathan says on I-65 there's a sign that says go to church or the devil will get you. See, this is what I'm talking about. Well, it's not even just God that I mean, like there are huge signs that have AK-47s and AR-15s and on the billboards, and say get 2,000 rounds here, and next exit, and I never saw a sign for weapons. Never saw one growing up. So coming out here is kind of interesting. What about the conservatives here stuck in New Jersey? Uh, you know, I don't know. Maybe you should secede from the union and create a little patch, or secede from New Jersey and create a little patch where you are. I thought about that. I think that unfortunately I'm too conservative for liberals, and I might be a little bit too liberal for conservatives, so I'm probably somewhere in between. Um, in Texas, there's so many crosses on US 287. Every business seems to have one. Yes. Lone Wolf says, you can have my woman before you take my guns. Man, you must have a really nasty woman, huh? Hmm. I hope she's not seeing this and knows what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. But so Lone Wolf, come on, tell us about your woman. Now I'm curious. I'm gonna get somebody in trouble. But um, so is there anything that you guys want to talk about? Because we've already been in here for over an hour, which is kind of cool, and I still have people in here. I see that there's still a lot of people that are headed to trucking school. So, uh, was there anything that maybe you guys had some questions for the other experienced drivers that are in here? Split New Jersey into two states, North and South. I always felt that way too. Uh, Dave down here is from South Jersey, where I live, and that's something like I was talking about culture through the whole country. New Jersey has its own culture, and us down south, we feel like everybody's from North Jersey. People ask me all the time, "Well, are you like those Jersey Shore people?" No, because they're from New York. They're Jersey wannabes. and they had to go get security guards and stuff because they were going to get their butts kicked in Jersey, man. Uh, it's true. Like and even I mean, think about it, like even New York Giants and New York Jets, they play in Jersey. These are all a bunch of wannabes. Just go away. So we kind of the South looks at the North as a bunch of New York wannabes, and the way our government is set up, the majority of our politicians and stuff are from the north of the state, so they get all the money when it comes to. So if we divide it up into two different states, yeah, South Jersey would have better school systems, and probably be financially a little bit better off. The South is where everyone lives, and the North is where it stinks. Yeah, well, anybody that delivers to Newark or Elizabeth or Jersey City or Patterson would probably agree with you. Like, I live down closer to farmlands and stuff, so people will say to me, "Oh, Jersey's horrible," and then they go deliver near where I live, and they go, "Oh, wow, that was actually kind of cool." Like there's, you know, fruit stands and vegetable like farm markets on the sides of the roads where I've seen truckers just pull over onto a shoulder and they go and they shop, and Jersey tomatoes are a big thing, and Hamilton, New Jersey is the blueberry capital of the world. So South Jersey is Philly. Yes, it pretty much is. But we're Philly with farms. It's funny, like all of Washington Township in South Jersey is all filled with the Italians from South Philly that moved out. Time flies. Yes, it does. Um, but you know, I know somebody in here who was a former Marine, and he tells me that the motto is adapt and overcome. And that's what you have to do at trucking. And I have to adapt and overcome every time I change a truck. And luckily for me, um, I won't be changing trucks for a while because I have a 2020. So I imagine I'll have it for another couple years. Changing trucks is like moving. It's just like packing up your entire apartment and swapping. And I had a student that helped me move from one truck to the other, and there was a blizzard out, but we had to move my stuff. And first off, I think he was a little upset that he offered because I had so much and it was so cold. But he was like, "How did you fit all this crap in the truck and me too?" I was like, "Well, very carefully. You have to squeeze stuff into every corner and nick and cranny, and um, you know, people don't understand. The cat took up two of my three cabinets, so I really had to get creative in some of my organizing. Hey, I'm not a wannabe. I'm the real deal Jersey for 20 years now. Well, I didn't mean that you were a wannabe. I meant that, like, y- you know, um, some people want to be New Yorkers, and the Northern Jersey people can act like they're New Yorkers, and that's just not my thing. And then, like I said, a lot of those people from the TV show Jersey Shore were a bunch of people from Connecticut or New York. Dysfunctional Life says, "Oh my God, I hate changing trucks. We did it three times in one day. Oh my God, it was terrible." Oh yeah, 3 times in one day? You gotta explain that. Make a video about that or something, 'cause I gotta hear about that one. Hmm. Dirty Bro hauled trash from Philly to sell in New Jersey back in the 90s. Oh, yeah, so just trash up our state. You guys make all that stuff over there and then you want to trash up our state. No, I'm kidding. Well, I mean, the trash got to go somewhere. It's horrible, especially in the morning. Yes, Turnpike exit 4. That's something that a lot of people, unless you're from Jersey, you wouldn't understand, but it's kind of a running joke. Like you say, "Oh, where in New Jersey do you live?" And you'll say exit 3, exit 4, exit 10 off the Turnpike. You know, that's how we relate to each other. Yeah. You know, I gotta figure out how to make this chat bigger. Well, I don't think these glasses are as good as my contacts, which is a little disappointing. So, uh, somebody came in. I think it's Hustle 67. Hustle 67. Hello, how are you today? Uh, where are you working? Where are you from? Let us know. Dave says he's been in New Jersey for 52 years. God bless you, darling. Unfortunately, it's 52 years of high taxes and overpayment of stuff, you know, high cost of living. Uh, Something I found out that that's part of the lifestyle of trucking too is you do a lot better financially if you can figure out where the cheaper places are and the Walmarts to go. Like if I buy from here in Missouri, um, you know, I save more money than if I bought back home. On my original trainer's truck, we were driving all over the Midwest and I kept buying and buying and buying and I wasn't getting paid yet. I still had my permit. And he's like, "You're going to spend all your money." I was like, "This is like the shopping in the bargain basement. Like everything's 70% off. It's like, you know, like Black Friday or after Christmas sales. I'm shocked that people aren't punching each other in the face to get the sales." Ray Del Sol says uh, they had a phone call, and what did she miss? Well, uh, nothing really. We were just talking about how, you know, Jersey's different and the Northeast is a lot different from the southern places, and you see different kinds of. It's just a different culture. It's a different lifestyle. It's a different political situation. It's a different you know, and I do think that that is part of the adjustment. Like you can offend people out here on the road even when you don't want to, or you can be offended. How about that one? You know, in today's society, everybody is offended by everything. You know, somebody, and Billy Rains was in here earlier. I don't know if he still is. Oh no, it wasn't Billy Rains. I'm sorry, it wasn't Billy. It was Trucking with Jonathan made a joke about one of my videos, and I just, you know, made a quip back, and somebody says, "Oh, that was inappropriate humor, dude." Well, get over it. You know, it's speech, it's not action. He didn't punch her in the face or something like that. And then I was told that I accept and allow inappropriate behavior. There's a difference between speech and behavior. You know, speech is protected. We should be able to say whatever we want. You can call me any names in here you want. And if I allow you to offend me, the problem is mine, not yours. So, you know, when you're going across the country and you see different things that could possibly offend you, you have to stop and say, you know, who is going to be affected by this, me or that person that's offensive? And if the answer is you, you're the only one that can change that. You can just not allow people to offend you. You cannot give them that much power over you. You know, what makes you think what they think is that important that it's going to affect you, upset you, impact your life? You know, it goes back to like the toxic people. If somebody's telling you you can't come into trucking because you'll never do it, if you believe them and you don't do it, you're allowing them to impact you. You know, don't give people that power. Don't allow somebody to impact your life, your mental health, your well-being, your pocket, whatever it is, I want to talk about attending to truck issues versus on time. Um, Showed electronic issue with the trailer lights. I turned around. I didn't feel safe. So TA fixed it. Yeah, it's better to be safe. Yeah. Um, that's something I think new people don't get right away. They think you're responsible for the load. You're also responsible for the public and yourself and that trailer and that truck. And you're responsible also for your public image of your company, you know. So it is your job to make sure that that vehicle is safe and that you get repaired. And I've had people tell me that their company has told them, "Oh, well, don't get that fixed. You can do it later." Um, you know, there are certain things that are minor. I've seen drivers scream and yell that their radio didn't work. That's not a safety feature. That's not a safety issue, But if you have a tire that needs to be replaced, you need to go get that taken care of. And, you know, you have to time it appropriately. If it's something that absolutely, hey, I have to go get this fixed. I'm not driving this and, I'm going to go get this fixed. Then you message your dispatcher. Do not call. Do not call. Trucker Nene did a really good video about CYA. Cover yourself. And when you put it in the Qualcomm, it is reported. Whether you do PeopleNet or Qualcomm, because there's different softwares. Zonar is at night, I think it is. So those are different systems that you have. Put it in writing, because a month down the line or 2 months down the line, when somebody wants to come back and blame somebody for the load being late, they could say, hey, no, this driver wrote right in here. Uh, the load was delayed due to mechanical issues, you know, um, and it's your responsibility. And it's a big, huge responsibility. We are in charge of protecting the public. Do you want to kill somebody? If you do kill somebody, there's a possibility you'd be going to jail. Are you willing to accept that? You know, um, these are things you have to think about. Uh, there was one time that I did something where um, a trailer needed to get fixed, and I was told to drop it and that somebody would make sure that they came and got it and had it fixed. And I'm going to be honest with you, I really didn't trust the person that told me that. So I drove the trailer into the terminal, and he called me up and said, "Where are you going?" And I said, "I already put in the Qualcomm. I'm taking it to the terminal." I was only, I wasn't far away. I mean, I think I was like 70 miles away or something. And I drove with my hazards on, and I was doing 35 or 40 miles per hour or something. And I was like, I got a much better chance of keeping this trailer upright than some new driver that's been out here for 2 weeks. And for that reason, I'm not I'm not dropping it. And the answer was, well, I respect you for not wanting somebody else. No, I don't care. I don't need your respect. And if you don't like it, we'll go to the boss of the company tomorrow when I get there, in the morning, because I'll be there. And then we'll ask him if he thinks that I should have left that trailer back at that customer or at the truck stop, wherever it was. I picked it up from a customer and I took it to a Petro, not realizing how bad the trailer was. And it actually needed to come to the terminal. So some people will tell me, well, you shouldn't have been driving it at all and you should have just left it there. And yes, well, I couldn't leave it at the Petro. I couldn't leave it at the Petro and they couldn't fix it. So yes, I could have had somebody from Prime drive all the way from Prime to come out there and find out that they couldn't fix it on the road either. And then they'd have to tow it. Or, I was aware of the problem though. Now, that was my choice. That was my choice. if I thought it was a problem that I couldn't handle or it wasn't something that would last long enough to get to the terminal, then, you know, then that would have been a whole different set of circumstances. Um, whether it's repairs or weather, we have so many different decisions that we have to make and so many different scenarios that we're responsible for. So, and unfortunately, that's part of the job. And it goes back to what I said earlier. If you can't make a decision, this is not the job for you unless you're teaming with somebody else that's calling the shots all the time. You know, you really have to uh, be aware. There are some people that don't become in tune with their equipment either. You know, I know every shake, rattle, noise, grumble from my truck, and you start to learn what's normal and what isn't. So sometimes, without anything even going wrong yet, just the sound of the truck can alert you that there's something wrong. But if you're one of those people that you're not in tune like that and you refuse to make it a point to learn that type of thing, then you might have issues. You have to make it a point to really know and do pre-trips. I know so many people that just do not do pre-trips. They don't. Sometimes they don't even get out and look. Like, I know somebody told me he only pops his hood like once a month. So a lot of things that can happen out here. Just think about, I know somebody who there was a blowout in front of them. The shredding tires, they have steel in them. Shredding tires came flying and got wrapped around my friend's tires. Drive tires went up and cut her airlines on her brakes. Now, that affected her right away. But imagine if it was just a small leak and she didn't notice. If it was a small leak that wound up getting bigger and bigger and bigger over time, or, um, something like that. Like, I had a student that when he started the truck, I said, "You didn't put your glad hands on the right way." And he was like, "What?" I was like, "I can just tell from the sound. I can hear from the sound that one of your glad hands isn't attached the right way." He's like, "How?" I'm like, "It's experience. I can't teach you that. You just have to learn, you know." But I'm from the Midwest. Only thing I love about out west is here is always parking. Yeah, out west, there is parking depending on where you're going. I mean, if you're going to be in a city, no matter where you are in the country, you're not really finding parking. You know, um, I know in California, everybody just parks on the side of the road or in the dirt and all that. And I'm like, whoa, I don't want to do that. But you got to do what you got to do. Um, I usually don't park within 50 miles of a city. That's something about teaming that you don't have to worry about is the parking, which is awesome, and the hours of service, which is awesome because somebody usually has hours unless you're killing your 70. And I can usually park the truck for 24 hours and then you each get a 34 in that time. Um, and I think that's one of the like rookies come out of training and then they want a team right away. And then when they do that, they get off the truck, maybe that they have a full year in, and then all of a sudden they go solo and they can't handle the trip planning. And maybe their backing is okay, and they have this attitude of, well, I'm not a rookie. Well, you kind of are, um, because you don't have that trip planning ability. You don't have that hours of service time management ability. When you're teaming, it's just run, 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 and sometimes I think that's a disservice. I know here at Prime, they're doing more and more of that, and I know there are companies like, well, CRST is a training company, is a team company anyway, but they are having more people upgrade and then go team trying to get them more experience before they go solo. But when you do that, you might be gaining in one hand, but depriving yourself of another. Cheapest thing in Jersey is the dollar store. That is absolutely true. It's hard to offend people from the Northeast with words. Well, I don't know about that one. I mean, I don't know about that one. I know people that, cry and scream and yell and whatever. Yep, paper trail, exactly. Radel Soul, exactly. Leave a paper trail in everything you do. Make sure that you're not getting blamed for anything. Um, my fleet manager, sometimes he tells me that some of the things that I worry about are like little minute things, but I worry so he doesn't have to. And that was interesting because I was sitting in dispatch yesterday and I was looking at all the different problems and things that drivers do, and some of them ask ridiculous questions. And I was like, I could never do this because I would not have the patience for some of these people. And if you're new and you're asking questions because you really don't know, that's one thing. But if you've been driving for 4 years and you call up and you ask something that's really, really like, you know, obvious, then you're just not even taking the time to apply yourself. I asked my fleet manager yesterday what is something that really, really annoys him that drivers do. And he said that when somebody takes like a 15 or 16-hour break and they leave too late to get to the customer, and then they call them saying, "Oh, I'm going to be late. I'm not going to make it." It's poor time management. Like if you wound up taking that 10-hour break and then getting there, as even if you got there early, okay, it's always better to be early than to be late. And it's one thing for you to say, "Oh, I don't have enough time on my 70. I got delayed by wind or weather, and there's a traffic accident, so I got delayed." That's one thing, but when you purposely took a longer break than your 10 hours and then you're late, that's really bad. So, something that I tell people is, yes, you might need extra time. That's understandable. You get tired out here or you want extra time for some showers you might have to wait for. You might not be able just to go pay and walk into a shower. Sometimes you have to wait and that eats into your break time and your relaxation time. Then tell your dispatcher, "Hey, I'm going to deliver this load and then I want extra time before my next load." That's much more acceptable to them than, "Oh, I'm just going to sleep an extra 4 hours or 5 hours or whatever and now I'm late." you know. And he said to me, he's like, everybody oversleeps once in a while. That's one thing. But when somebody actually does this on a regular basis, it can be really frustrating for them. uh, if I say you're a very nice lady, is that offensive to you? I have seen women out here say that they were offended. Well, I don't mean out here, but just in life, that say that they're offended if somebody says, "Oh, you look good today," or "Oh, I like that shirt you have on today," or "Oh, I like your hair." Like, even, I'm not going to say who it is, but there's a woman on television that said, "I don't want people looking at me. I don't want somebody to compliment me. I'm not a piece of meat." Then get off of television. You're getting paid millions of dollars a year to be looked at. So go to radio if you don't want to be looked at. I mean, people make no sense to me. That's why I think part of, you know, me being in trucking is that I don't have to deal with these insane people. I only deal with the people I want to deal with. Please tell people to never use that personal conveyance in advance to advance the load. I know a company that tries to get drivers to do it. Personal conveyance is something that, DOT allows it. It's actually up to the company. It's a company policy decision on whether or not you are permitted to use it. Um, Prime, I think, allows us an hour a day. Uh, CFI does it differently. So if anybody's still in here from CFI, you can go ahead and post that. Night, I think it was only 25 minutes. And I'm pretty sure it was rail. Anytime you wanted to use it, you had to message in or call and get permission to use it. Um, that is supposed to be something that you only use to find parking, and it's supposed to be the closest reasonable parking from the customer. Or say, like, this happens at Tyson and meat companies a lot, meat plants. I can go in and the trailer's not going to be loaded. I can drop my trailer and my load won't be done for, say, 24 hours. So I could drop my trailer and then bobtail out under personal conveyance. Okay. I could go eat, go get a hotel, go shower, whatever, and then come back under personal conveyance again to pick up my trailer. Now, by doing that, it's personal conveyance because it's my own personal time. Prime is not telling me that I need to leave that facility or go do something. And there are different rules on what they are, but each company limits what the rules are also. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you how your company would allow it. Some companies won't. Prime, I'm allowed to leave Tyson and go to a hotel or a truck stop or shopping or whatever I want to do and then come back. Uh, Say Schneider, for example, maybe they wouldn't let you do that. At rail, if they're only giving you 25 minutes, then you'd have to make sure that you're going someplace within a couple miles and then coming right back. There's a Tyson plant down in Amarillo that I think it's like 8 or 10 miles from the actual plant back to the truck stops and the restaurants and the Walmart. So, you'd have to make sure that you have enough time going both directions, and whether or not your company even allows it. A lot of companies don't even have a personal conveyance on their Qualcomm or their PeopleNet systems for you to use. The Gospel Trucker, hello. Blessings to you too. And if any of you, I was just talking about religion earlier and saying I think that everybody has a right to believe or not believe in whatever they want, and we shouldn't shove each other's beliefs down our throats. But any of you that are Christian or interested in any kind of spirituality like that, then go check out the Gospel Trucker. And I'm sure that for those new people that are in the room, I'm sure that he may be able to help you find chapels. There are like truck stops like TAs, and uh, there's a Christian organization that you can stop off and they'll feed you and they'll let you do laundry and take showers and that sort of thing. So you can check out his channel, and I'm sure he'd be willing to help you with any of that, right? Kelsey Marie, here, there you go. There's another woman driver out there. So I had a couple women in here that messaged me earlier that asked, what's it like for women in trucking, and is it hard? And one's intimidated because on some feminist website, some feminist blog, it said that women only get paid 14 to 16 cents a mile, and that was really intimidating to somebody coming into trucking. And honestly, I have no idea what they're talking about. In my entire life, I've never gotten paid less than my male counterpart. I don't play into that victimhood stuff of a lot of those women's organizations. If, as a matter of fact, I think that a lot of times I get paid more than the men that are out here, uh, just because I figured out really early on in how to manage my time. So if you put me up against men, especially if they're lazy men. I mean, a hard working woman is going to make a lot more than a lazy man. I really don't think gender has anything to do with it. And uh, I have fleet managers that have told me they'd rather have female drivers because we're safer and we're more communicative. We're, come on, guys, you know it's true. Maybe guys are less likely to take advice or, state a problem where women, yeah, sometimes we like the whine, but, I think we're more expressive in things than men. So that makes it a lot easier for the dispatchers. Video the trailer before you leave picking up a new trailer. Video any damage so you don't get blamed for it. Dave, that is something that I don't do. However, at my company, every time you pick up a trailer and you drop a trailer, you have to make a damage report of the way you found it. So, if I pick up a trailer and there's a scrape all the way down the side of the frame or the side of the wall or whatever, say the ICC bumper is dented or something like that, then I already have a report of it before I even hooked up to it. If it's something that's really, really severe, yes, you take pictures and then we send it to our phone app has so much information on it and so many capabilities that you can take a picture of the trailer, the damage, and then send it to our road assist department right there while you're still there. They can then make a decision on what you should do with it. Is it something that can be repaired elsewhere and it's safe for you to take, or is it something that needs to be done on site? And then that way they can send somebody for it. Um, if it's a loaded trailer, a lot of times you don't have a choice if it's something that the reefer, like I drive reefer, but if it's drive-in and the walls are intact and everything, and depending on what the issue is, then you're stuck with that trailer if it's loaded. If it's that bad and they have to swap the load, then you're stuck there waiting for them to swap the load into a different trailer. If it's an empty trailer, I have like a red marker that I'll put out of service on the side of the trailer, and then I'll message my road assist department and tell them, hey, here's this trailer, here's the pictures of this trailer. Um, this is the location, and I'm going to go take this other empty over here. And a lot of the customers make lists of the broken trailers and report back to the companies because if they find certain trailers that are unacceptable, they won't even load them. But that doesn't mean that all companies out there, all shippers are the same. And what if somebody out there isn't doing their job? And that's kind of like a courtesy issue, and I'll probably do a video about courtesy. When you're out here, you have to be courteous to other people. The person that you're dropping that trailer and you know that it's damaged, you shouldn't be dropping that trailer because now you're leaving it for somebody else. You know, if you are getting loaded or unloaded in a door and then you sit there filling out your paperwork instead of pulling out from the door, you're not being courteous to the person that needs that door and may already be assigned that door. If you pull into a fuel island and you fuel and then you go inside and you grab food and you come back out to the fuel island and you're sitting there eating your sandwich while there's people waiting behind you, what kind of courtesy are you showing them? But yet, as soon as somebody says something to you, oh my God, it's the end of the world. How dare they? So I think people like to point fingers at other people without looking at their reflection. You know, ask yourself, could I have, and I'm not talking about socially offending people like earlier, but I'm talking about just you want people to have respect for your time and you know and your job, then have respect for other people and their time and their job. you know and that's something that I think some trainers, do you ever see a trainer that you're at a truck stop and it's a really really busy truck stop at night and you got some brand new person trying to back into a really tight hole and their trainer sitting there trying to walk them through it? Don't do that. Not only are you being really, really inconsiderate of all the other truckers that are pulling through there and can't go anywhere because you picked the smallest freaking truck stop in the country? But you know what? You're also really, really making your student nervous. They're not going to be able to learn and concentrate in that situation. What the heck is wrong with people? Some of the female questions, Kelsey says, some of the female questions I get are interesting to say the least. The thing about trucking industry, gender doesn't matter on how we earn money. Lazy or hardworking is the divider on the money. That is so true. Absolutely. I really believe that, and I'm so glad that Kelsey said that. For those of you who don't know, because I didn't know this until yesterday or Sunday or whatever, she's a flatbedder. Woohoo! Good for you. Dysfunctional life. What goes around comes back around. Yep. Truckers who break at the fuel island, yeah, are bringing bad karma on themselves. Yeah, I agree with that. Unfortunately, there's ways to do a 30-minute break at the fuel island, and there's ways not to do them. You know, when you're teaming, you don't ever have to worry about that. When you're going solo, sometimes there's no choice but to do a 30-minute break at the fuel island. I've done it, but you know, if that's what your plan is, then you pick the longest line. You know, don't pull right into the fuel line and then pull up so there's a line behind you. Go into a fuel lane that maybe already has one truck in front that was pulled forward and one truck that's actually in the fuel island. And okay, now I'm off duty. Is it legal? No. Mm. I'm saying it could be done. Not saying that it should be done, but um, especially people that are really new, they're scared to back up. But again, it goes back to the courtesy. If you need to do that, go to a Petro that has 15 fuel lanes and park at the one that's all the way down the furthest away. You know, truckers that, especially like when you're out on the road and you have to go to the bathroom, what happens? Everybody wants to go the lane that's closest to the door. So, park further away. One time I really, really needed a shower, and it was like, I don't know, midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, and the Flying J in Oak Grove, Kentucky. I parked at the furthest fuel island, and I said to the manager, I was like, I really, really need a shower. Could I just go park in one of your reserved parking spaces? And I promise I'll be like 15 minutes. I just want to get in and go. And he said, sweetie, I'm not going to be that busy in the fuel lane. Pull forward, put the trash can behind it in the lane, and just stay there. And I was like, I promise I'll be 10 minutes. He says, don't worry about it. It's okay. We don't get that much business tonight, this particular day of the week anyway. And you pulled into the last aisle, so don't worry about it. I was like, you got to be kidding me. But that goes back to me being sweet and nice and smiling and, asking rather than just being rude and nasty, you know. Yeah, that was nice of him. Exactly. And if you're just being selfishly, that's true. Like, yeah, you have to have common courtesy for people. Um, You know, I think that when you're out here long enough, we've all been in certain situations. We've all been in situations where we were running out of time, where we needed to rush into that bathroom, or we couldn't find a parking space. And, sometimes you need to park illegally. S- Somebody was just talking about this the other day on one of their feeds. And if you need to park illegally, then expect to be woken up. If you're parking on a shoulder of like a curb along a curb, and you're going to be blocking in people that are pulling out at the angle or something, expect to be woken up. And don't give them attitudes when they wake you up. What do you think's going to happen? You know, be glad and maybe they'll be screaming and yelling, but you're just going to have to accept that if that's the situation that you're in. I know people that will park on the side of the roads or the side of the interstates, and it's really not safe. Don't do that, please. I mean, think about it. Even on and off ramps, a lot of these companies will fire you if they know you do that. If somebody confirmed in the chat, I'm pretty sure Swift is one of those companies. Night Night has the forward facing cameras, and if you make a U-turn and you're not in a parking lot, you will get reprimanded. Now, will they fire you? I don't know, but I know that you'll be called by the safety department. I do have a friend that he only worked there a short time, and he told me that. Yep, attitude is everything. Yep, absolutely. Thanks for stopping by, Right, El Sol. I appreciate it. Yeah, dysfunctional life says I'm right. Um, and I think sometimes that we also forget, like when you're been out here for a while, you forget how scary it is being new. So if that's true and you've been out here for a while, then try to um, try to at least take a step back for a minute when you see somebody struggling, and say, "Hey, what would I want in this situation when I was new?" Or maybe think back to people that may have helped you in the beginning and then say, "You know what? I want to be like them. I want to help people like them." You know, that was one of the whole reasons I wanted to start this channel, was because there were so many people that helped me that I wanted a chance to give back, and I screwed up so much that I wanted people to know you're going to screw up, but you can get through it. It's going to be okay. You can get through it. You know, dysfunctional life. What's it like for you? Because you don't drive, do you? Do you guys team, or I don't think I ever saw you actually drive. Because I'm kind of wondering, like, do people like ask you if you drive, or just being a wife on the road, do they say anything to you like, "Oh, well, you're just you know, a seat decoration," or something like that? Because I've had women say to me things like that, and I've never had anything said, and women claim that it's said, and sometimes I'm just like, I don't know if it's just I come across so harsh, so maybe people out in the road don't talk to me. I don't know, because I usually don't have my makeup on, and you guys see me with my hair done and my makeup. I don't look like that on the road, so maybe I'm just scary. You have to go to the DMV for your new license. Well, mwah, thank you, Dirty Broke, for stopping by. I appreciate you hanging this long. I'm gonna be getting off of here in a couple minutes too. Uh, Dysfunctional Life says she's just a ride buddy. Oh, you're gonna get your CDL and team with them. Well, you go, girl. uh, she had some interesting videos about cooking on the truck. So check her out. Wasn't it you that had the video where I don't even remember what it was you were making, but you actually got the recipe from another video, another channel. And then I wound up turning around and going after that channel. I'm pretty sure it was you. Yeah, most places you go, people assume you guys are teaming. See, I think that goes to show the changing dynamics of the trucking industry. I think in the past that most people just assumed that the woman was the girlfriend, the lover, the hooker, or whatever, and now it seems to be they just assume that you're driving. Angela says she has good news for me. She'll be calling me soon. Woohoo! Highway Junkie. He's referring to his recruiter here at Prime. He wants to be coming to Prime in February. and he's been watching my channel, and he followed me on truckingtruth.com before he knew that I was Rainey on Trucking Truth. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. All right. Dysfunctional life. Yeah, she had the recipe and she stole it from another video channel. So that was kind of cool. Well, guess what, guys? We're hitting 2 hours now, and I do have to get out of this hotel room because I'm leaving tonight. So, thank you guys so much for hanging in here. I appreciate everybody's support. I want to make sure that you guys all go like each other and put the thumbs up and follow each other because there's a lot of good channels in here, and there's also a lot of new people who either are just coming into school or going to be are in training and going to be going solo soon. So thanks for watching. Be safe, guys. Be sweet to each other. Be nice. Smile. And I hope to see you guys out here trucking along.